fourth here, and most important of all, certainly as far as Ferrari are concerned, it would give him a breathing space in the World Championship, and it would be his 50th victory for the great Marc. What a milestone that would be, what a party it would be if he can just hold on. He's got 7.5 seconds advantage over Juan Montoya. There is the Colombian. He tried very, very hard in the early stages of the Grand Prix, but he just didn't have enough when it mattered. But I'm sure he'll be bouncing back at Indianapolis in a couple of weeks' time. There's Villeneuve, you see, just going through the shot as well. He's a lap down, so next time Michael Schumacher crosses the line, Villeneuve will be safe. And the Ferrari mechanics then all up on the pit wall, ready to celebrate. A little bit prematurely, perhaps. There's still another 3.5 miles to go.
Well, there certainly was a lot of black dust coming out of the Ferrari, but as I say, it depends on the materials of the pads and discs, and it's not always indicative, but I'm sure they're pretty relieved to be able to drop 2.5 seconds a lap now and just coast towards the last sort of 6-7 laps of this Grand Prix, as they have done. Now the final one is in front of them. They've got a 7-second advantage. Barrichello maintaining a 1.1 advantage over Raikkonen. So it's a pretty perfect day for Ferrari, isn't it? If they could have just got Barrichello ahead of Montoya, it would have been absolutely perfect. And nonetheless, Michael Schumacher crucially kept the lead, didn't he, on that first lap. That was a key part of the afternoon, so he could stretch it out and make Montoya be the man who had to do the work. He had track position, controlled the race, and never looked flustered, even when Montoya was really closing him down, sometimes 3-4 tenths of a second per lap. Looking forward to the press conference to understand why, what broke Montoya's rhythm, spirit, or whatever it was.
Just listen then to the crowd as Michael Schumacher comes out of the Parabolica. Yes! He punched the air yesterday when he got pole position. That was part of the job done. But this afternoon, he has absolutely done the business. He's fended off Juan Montoya. And let's face it, it was a stiff challenge. Michael Schumacher wins at Monza, the 4th time he has won here in a Ferrari. And it's his 50th victory for the Italian Marc. And what an important one.
Yes, it's win number 69 overall for him. And I think you're right, James, one of the more important ones. I mean, he really has been under pressure. Lapped at the last Grand Prix, nowhere, off the pace, totally off the pace, really. Looking, it's probably one of his most lacklustre Grand Prix, actually, the Hungarian Grand Prix 3 weeks ago. But today was certainly one of his most mature and inspired drive. He fought his corner when he had to, and certainly a great start. Good pit stops from the team, tremendous reliability, as we've come to expect now from Ferrari, and Williams, with McLaren always just seeming to have a little gremlin every so often that's holding them back. So for the Constructors' Championship, it's still now looking very close between McLaren and Williams, with Ferrari and Williams and McLaren just fading slightly.
The 7th. Well, all the hard work that was put in by Ferrari, Neil Crompton mentioned the thousands of kilometres of testing, all the hard work put in by Bridgestone as well. They employed all their test drivers, the full weight of their knowledge and their mileage. But Ryan Briscoe, you made a very good point just a moment ago, and Martin Brundle touched on it as well. You cannot underestimate the input of Michael Schumacher in this result. He was like steel out there today.
No, he's very strong, and I think he's by far the strongest driver out there, mentally and physically. And, you know, during the race, he just doesn't miss a beat. Just the consistency of it all, he doesn't feel under pressure, and I think that's where that adds up to winning races.
It will be fascinating to hear what Juan Montoya says about how he was broken late in that race, Neil.
It adds up all right. That was his 69th Grand Prix win. Yesterday was his 55th Grand Prix pole position. They're amazing numbers, aren't they?
Unreal.
Now 7 apiece for both poles and wins for Bridgestone and Michelin. Michael also recorded the fastest lap. It was the 4th time this year that he's done that. It's the 7th time this year that Ferrari have recorded a fastest lap. And Ferrari having now recorded 6 Grand Prix wins this year and 7 pole positions. Here's the confirmation, unofficial, for the placings: Schumacher, Montoya, Barrichello, Raikkonen, Genet, Villeneuve, Mark Webber in 7th. Excellent performance. So there was a problem there with Frentzen just at the end. You may have caught a little clip of my voice. It was frantically trying to just work that out. Then Alonso, Heidfeld, Fisichella.
Villeneuve, what a relief for him. You have to go back to round 2, I think it was, round 3, to discover where he last scored points in a race.
You have to give points to Mark Webber, Ryan, for just his gritty, never say die determination. He hangs in there and he races like a absolute Grand Prix hero, doesn't he?
No, he's very good. Never gives up and just keeps pushing until he sees the checkered flag, and it's important.
It certainly has been noticed this year. Quite a few people have mentioned him in dispatches, and that's what you need to do, I guess, because the thing about Formula One is you can be out there in a team knowing that you absolutely cannot win the race. And that is an interesting mindset when you're used to running around, as you are, Ryan, at the moment, winning the majority of Formula 3 races. Then you get up to the big game and you get a drive with a team like Minardi, and then you step up a little bit to Jaguar, but you still know that it's all relative, the performance, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
There's the championship points. It's still a squeeze. Kimi Räikkönen obviously needs to do more in the United States and Japan. Incidentally, just reminding you that Japanese round will be shown as soon as we finish our podium presentations at the Bob Jane T-Marts 1000. So that will be a tremendous climax to the season.
And the constructors, by the way, Billy, shows Williams BMW with 141, Ferrari with 137 points, and McLaren Mercedes have got 120 points as Michael now exits the car. Ugly day for Renault, and a pretty tough day also for your guys. I hope they get these gremlins out before you hopefully turn up in one of these things.
Yeah, pretty disappointing for Toyota. I mean, Panos is up in the points. It was looking pretty good, but yeah, not a good day for them.
We haven't seen Michael on the podium for 3 rounds, in fact, and so we look forward to hearing from him. It's been a while, but we'll take a break in the meantime. Well, you could get away with an IQ less than mine, and that's pretty low, to figure out that Ferrari's been under enormous pressure here this week, and that's why they put in all that effort. The reward is there for the fans, the flag waving in pit straight, and very soon we'll have the champagne spraying. Different story when we go away from Europe to the United States and Japan. No testing on those circuits in recent days. Moss Braun there, I think it is, in the half shadow.
Talking with Bob Constanduros, who does the English speaking on the podium and has followed the series for many years as a commentator.
Or the savagery of the Italian press after the Hungarian Grand Prix can only be compared to their jubilation now. I'd hate to think if Ferrari had not gained the podium in this round.
It's funny how it swings so quickly, though, isn't it, Billy? Because it's not that many weeks ago that we were sitting here commenting on the awesome performance from Rubens at the British Grand Prix on another track, you know, with a very high average speed, and you know, Ferrari were totally in the game, and at that stage they were under pressure also from Michelin. Look at this, as Schumacher hugs Ross Brawn for his extraordinary technical leadership and efforts in the last couple of weeks since the last Grand Prix in Hungary. And look at the unbelievably passionate Italian fans swamping this race circuit, and they'll declare a national holiday tomorrow, won't they, after the doom and gloom of the last race a few weeks ago.
That is quite the swarm, and this is one of the slowest lead-ins to the podium we've seen. Here we go. They're out.
Heroes.
What a parade this is. Good drive from Barrichello there, decisive drive. Maybe it will count towards the championship in the end, who knows. rookie camp this week. Luca de Montezemolo made one other interesting comment in that BBC interview, Neil, which you and I both watched this weekend, and that was about team orders. And he did vigorously defend the philosophy of team orders, even though they've been officially banned. He didn't defend the way they were employed last year by this team, but he did say they would use the team to give Michael Schumacher the championship this year in the most legal way possible.
Virtually all, if not all, motor racing teams do. I think what most people objected to was the way they went about it, and that was something that the chairman made mention of in that interview that we saw. And he said these things can happen once, but they cannot happen a second time. And I think that was a fairly accurate comment. There's a man much relieved, and his boss. Huge amount of work since they last raced. But it's not over yet with the US Grand Prix to come in Indianapolis.
You took the words right out of my mouth. There's a lot of play left.
That's absolutely right. And a lot of hard work for all of these teams. And then the grand finale at Suzuka, Japan, the same day that we have the Bob Jane Team Marts 1000 from Bathurst. It's just out of control over there, isn't it? What a great party scene.
They simply had to win at this circuit. Look at how the chicane twists.
Makes you wonder how these things stay glued together when they take such a pounding, and it's a very aggressive attack and approach, isn't it, Ryan? They just have to literally throw the cars at those chicanes in order to maintain momentum, in order to be able to record a lap time. You cannot. Martin, I think, made the point earlier in the commentary that if you drive around that racetrack and all very lovely and hit the apexes in all the ideal mathematical spots, you just aren't fast enough.
No, I mean, it's a sort of track with those chicanes where you just got to make the least amount of distance possible, and that means just driving straight through them. And the cars being so stiff, they just jump all over the place. But it's the fastest way.
Well, as the crowd roars, we will take a break from Monza. When we come back, we'll hear from the drivers, and I think that'll be very interesting after this race. Well, of course, we've given due credit to that man, Michael Schumacher, but he is really the tip of the iceberg. A massive effort by Ferrari, and the crew can certainly savour this victory. And the two gentlemen sitting beside me know all about that through experience. The crew is so important. If the team aren't pulling their weight, well, you guys find it very difficult out there.
Yes, and it's a massive number of people, particularly in the case of that team. The Ferrari structure is enormous, and you know, Michael is, as you quite rightly described, right at the very point of it, but it cascades down through so many departments. Formula One teams are so rich in their structure, aren't they?
Yeah, it's quite amazing how big a Formula One team is just for, you know, 2 race cars on the track, and you've got sort of over 500 personnel in a team. It's quite amazing, and that's where teamwork is very important.
And Massa,